Hello everyone, my name is Lucas and I wanted to talk a little bit about why you should play Lorcana. As a little background on me again, I am an avid Magic the Gathering player, and when Lorcana first came out, I was more convinced I'd rather just play Magic, but as the sets have come out more and more, I've really quite enjoyed this game and I'm going to talk a little bit about it today. So we're going to be talking about what is it, how to play, why to play, and some of your first cards. And I will be using the newest sets art with some also references to the older sets, just so you get a taste of what is currently going to be out and available here soon. So very quick overview, if you've never played a trading card game, is that trading card game to Formula One, just think about car racing, is that your cards that you use are kind of like your car parts. You need an engine, you need gas, you need wheels, and all of that can be found on the different types of cards you use. So the true thing about the gas, though, is what is going to make your deck go, and those are the cards that require you to place them down as ink. If you play Magic, it's your lands. And so that's what a little bit about, anytime you hear me say ink, think of, oh, I play that card or I use that card to enable my other car parts or my other cards. And then finally, to get to the finish line, we just need 20 lore. I know that's a gross overview if you're used to Magic Gathering, but bear with me here if you've never played a trading card game. So just think, we're racing cars. We build our car out of car parts using different cards in the game. We have to have gas, which is our ink, to go. And then to get to the finish line is 20 lore in Lorcana. So what is Lorcana? Lorcana is a card game, a trading card game. And really I say this 2 to 8 players because the main way I play is to draft into cube. And we'll talk a little bit about that more in a different video. But I really appreciate this game's ability to play in multiplayer. So the trading card games, how they work is that you go ahead and buy packs more often than not. You buy those packs. Packs give you access to the individual cards that you'll be using to build your deck. And so you'll have cards that are character cards, like the new Dale card coming out in the new set. You might have character cards that do certain actions and abilities that we'll go over here in a second, but you also might have song cards, action cards, like Friends on the Other Side. And you might have item cards like the Sorcerer's Hat that give you great bonuses. And finally, you might visit locations such as the Pride Lands that give your characters even more of a bonus. So what do cards even say? So a quick overview of a card is that you're gonna have a cost. How much gas do you need? How much ink do you need? Is gonna be right here in this top corner. So Mickey Mouse, true friend, requires 3 ink to be able to play him. Now he does not give you any other abilities, so we'll move over to the attack, 3 defense, and 2 lore. The attack and defense are when Mickey wants to interact with other characters. If your opponent is playing down Mickey Mouse's, Donald Duck's, all these other characters that are going to be boosting their chances of winning, well, Mickey Mouse can use his attack power and attack into their defense power, and vice versa. They will do the same thing at the same time. So Mickey Mouse, every time he deals damage to a character, he's going to deal 3, and then every time that he takes damage, he can absorb damage until he gets to 3, and then he'll move to the public domain, if you will. So then the final thing you can do with Mickey Mouse is once per turn, you can choose, instead of attacking, you can choose to quest, which will gain 2 victory points essentially, and you're trying to get to 20, remember. So Mickey Mouse represents a 10-turn clock. If every turn you're using him, you get 2 victory points towards your win. Here is a different version of Mickey Mouse. He costs 8. He has more attack strength, more defense absorption, and he actually quests for 4. So significantly reducing your clock time, a much faster way of winning if you can get him out earlier than turn 8 necessarily. And then also a card has a new thing here. It's an ability, evasive here. If you're familiar with Magic, it's similar to flying, but evasive just means only other characters with also evasive can attack into Mickey Mouse. So he's kind of hard to deal with because your opponent has to anticipate that you're going to be playing this kind of an evasive creature, and they have to play one of their own in order to do something about it. And finally, here's another version of Mickey Mouse. You've got 5 costs, so it's a little bit in between these two. And you've got 3 attacks, similar to the original. 4, a little bit in between the 2 Mickey. Defense. But he has these new abilities. So he quests for 2 as well, just like the old Mickey. But he has 2 abilities. So he has Shift 3. If you have a Mickey Mouse already in play, instead of paying the 5 cost, you can pay 3 to place this Mickey Mouse, Playful Sorcerer, on top of a previously played Mickey Mouse, True Friend, for example. And additionally, he gains Resist +1. Resist was +1. I won't talk too much strategy in this video. Is an incredibly good keyword where it reduces every instance of damage by 1. And then finally, he has this Sweep Away ability. When you play this character, deal damage to chosen character equal to the number of broom characters you have in play. Now, that's introducing a concept of, wait a second, I kind of care about what other characters are already on the field, not just this Mickey individually. So let's talk about that. When you're building a deck, what is it going to look like? And as a quick overview, you are trying to get from 0 to 20 lore. So let's talk about a very highly synergistic on sub-character types. So you've got this Hades deck here, where he's a 4 cost, 3/6, quests for 1, doesn't really do anything else for you. But then you've got this other Hades here. This Hades costs 6, he's a 5/5, quest for 2, and if you could read that really quickly, it says you can utilize Hades to ready your other Titan characters. You can tap them to ready up or untap your other Titan characters. So you want to fill your deck with Titan cards. What are the Titan cards? You've got Stratos, Pyros, Lithos, Hydros. These are incredible, and you actually have another one that I did not include here, but these are just for example, some of the Titan cards you can use that are powerful in your deck. Each of these Titans have different abilities, but the key thing is that they're all Titans that you can utilize with Hades. Additionally, you can put even more Hades cards in your deck that cares about villains in play. So fortunately, you've got all these copies of Hades over here that's a villain, all these copies of Hades over here that's a villain, and this Hades right here that's an 8 cost says that this character gets more lore, 1 more lore for every other villain in play. That's amazing if you're already playing a deck full of these villain characters. So that's what I'm talking about when you're talking about synergy with their subtypes as you're building your deck. You say, oh, I think I want to build a villain deck, and I want to center it around Hades, and Hades really cares about his Titans. So maybe I include these Titan cards. You might also include cards that you can sacrifice your cheap creatures to deal with problems, or you could choose like some people I know that really enjoy the theming of the art and just keeping the removal consistent. Now let's talk about a deck that is not really consistent in its IP or in its subtypes, but cares about certain things that are not characters. Popsicle is a great item. It only costs 1, it draws you a card, and you can heal characters with it. Popsicle is great, but what's really interesting is when Popsicle ends up going into your discard pile, Nick Wilde brings it back to your hand. That's a sweet little mini combo there. So you say, okay, well, I want to build a deck around this little popsicle stick that can do a lot for my characters, and Nick Wilde that brings it back to my hand. Who else cares about items like that in this popsicle? Well, Hiram cares about it because whenever he quests, you can remove and send to the discard pile one of your items to draw 2 cards. So you can turn your popsicle into a draw engine with this card. Additionally, you can have Triton be played, and Triton says you can use him once per turn to send one of your items, your popsicle, to the discard pile to gain 3 lore, which is your 3 victory points. That's amazing, considering this is just a 1-drop. When it comes into play, draws a card, and then you can tap one of your other creatures to gain 3 lore. Finally, to have big beaters in, Tamatoa cares about having a lot of items in play. So you can start building out these decks that care about certain archetypes like items that aren't necessarily tied to subtypes of creatures. So just thinking about that and why this is really cool when deck building. So your first cards, where do you start? Well, there's really 2 kind of really cool options. Is that the creators of the game have these pre-made decks that already have some synergies going for you, and you can choose, hey, I really like Scar, I really like Kronk, Elsa, Wreck-It Ralph. You know, you could choose which kind of path and strategies you want pre-made, or you can go and buy a box that comes with many cards, over 200 cards, that you can then build a deck out of. The one thing about that is that they can come with rares that are much more powerful than if you buy these starter decks, because that's what they're meant to be. It's just starter, get you into the game without spending a whole lot of money, and that's your option. Also, there's no need to buy necessarily if you've got friends that already own a lot of cards, and you can build decks out of that from them. So one really, really cool thing to note is that Disneyland Resort is hosting in January 2025 the Lorcana, I believe it's called like a national championship at Disneyland. So you're going to see some of the greatest players, some of the greatest innovators in the game coming together. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be enjoying watching all these incredible challengers come together, building these great decks. The newest set comes out November 15th, 2024. And so if you're interested in this game, I highly recommend it. I know this is not a full breakdown of all the rules, but I wanted to give you a quick summary as fast as I could to just jump you into the Lorcana world. Thanks for watching.